Hello and welcome back to another edition of Sports Cubed. As always, I'm Zach Reynolds, joined by Austin Harrelson and Tyus Gordon. We've got a lot to talk about today, but starting off, we're going to recap a baseball game for Wabash Valley College that just concluded not too long ago that we all were doing some commentary on. It was a win for Wabash Valley, 9-4, great pitching, great defense, just a great all-around win. What do you think, Austin, of it?
Yeah, I mean, it was a little bit of everything in the game. We saw a lot of pitching, where the starter only goes out there and goes for 2 innings. See a lot of relief pitchers. Actually, after every inning, a new relief pitcher from there. And I think it was just a great we gave up the 3-run shot, but besides that, I mean, it really was a really well-pitched game offensively. Richie Bonamalo Jr., he hit a leadoff home run to start things off, and it kind of just carried on after that. And defensively, we were spectacular. And even on the base pads, I mean, we had some really good base running and, I mean, great discipline and all-around good game.
Yeah, it was really good. 2 home runs from Wabash Valley today. As you mentioned, Richie Bonamalo Jr. led off the game with a home run, a solo shot. Bruce Jellison also had a solo shot. He had 3 RBIs today. He's been having a good season. Tyus, what were your thoughts on the game?
I think it was a really well-played game by Wabash, and the score doesn't really show how well we played. I mean, we didn't give up a hit until that inning. They got the 3-run shot, and that led. I mean, we walked one after they hit that ball up the middle, and then we throw one bad pitch, and then they got 3 runs, and then it's like, I mean, the score didn't show how well we outplayed the other team. But other than that, I mean, the pitching was very well. The fielding was great. Catcher threw that guy out at second. That was really nice. A lot of good defensive plays for Wabash. I mean, all around a pretty well game.
A lot of stolen bases, too. I believe there's 5 or so stolen bases, which is a big proponent of this Warriors ball club. They improved to 11-6 after they started 2-5. We're getting a little worried.
Yeah, no, we definitely were.
Now, all of a sudden, 11-6, improving and continuing to go. And this game got shown up last minute. All of a sudden, decided to have this game, and it was a real fun one. It was beautiful out. A great day for baseball.
Great day. Absolutely gorgeous day outside.
Couldn't have asked for a better day for baseball, honestly.
So there you have it. Wabash Valley won that one 9-4. Richie Bonamalo Jr. with the home run. Bruce Jellison, a home run and 3 RBIs. A couple RBIs from Mac Mitchell as well. Just a great game for the Warriors. Now as we move on to the NBA, we're after the All-Star break. It's getting getting down the stretch. With getting down the stretch, your depth's going to come into play a lot with some injuries. A couple of key injuries have been happening recently. Tyus, who is a Charlotte Hornets fan, more so a LaMelo Ball fan. What are your thoughts on the LaMelo Ball ankle injury?
I mean, he's kind of been a little injury prone this season, which, I mean, in the video it doesn't look awful. It's those injuries are crazy to me. I mean, I'm sure you guys saw it. I mean, it was just it's so interesting how he fractured his ankle on that play. The way, I mean, he looked at it, but didn't look awful. I mean, he's out for the rest of the season. I'm completely okay with that. I don't really want him to touch the court after that anyways. But I mean, I don't know. Hopefully we can get a good draft pick. I mean, that's what we're going for now, to work with LaMelo and Big Mark down there at the center. So I don't see what we're going to do.
I don't see how you will not get a big draft pick at this point. I mean, without LaMelo, no offense to Mark Williams, but he's just naturally not going to play as well and not as going to score as much. I mean, LaMelo just drives that team, and now
he creates everything. I know, he creates everything. I mean, we were on a 5-game winning streak, beating some really good teams in the NBA, and then, I mean, LaMelo gets hurt, and you'll see the decline. I mean, LaMelo, I mean, I don't know. LaMelo is just
it's expected.
Right. It's expected.
Nope.
I think it's going to show people how good LaMelo actually is, because I don't really know what all the Hornets are going to be able to do without LaMelo now after they.
Not a whole lot.
Right.
I mean, that's what I'm thinking.
You're in a 5-game winning streak. This is the best streak of the year, and your best player goes out. So it's a tough injury, but hopefully we can have a good off season and look forward to next season.
Well, the thing with LaMelo Ball for me is, obviously you can't discredit how incredibly talented he is and what he brings to that team, but the ankle might be an issue. I mean, a couple of times now he's missed a lot of time with non-contact ankle injuries. You have to wonder, You know, are they just a couple freak accidents, or is there something really like chronically wrong there? And if that's the case, you know, I hope not. But I mean, are we going to be looking at LaMelo Ball as one of those players that could never quite reach what he should have been because of an injury?
Right, and yeah, I hope that's not the case truly, and I don't know. I think he'll get over it, and I think I'm glad. That's why I'm glad the offseason he's done for the season. He's really gonna hopefully work on that ankle and heal it up as it needs to be, instead of like already coming back in after he'd already injured it and coming back and playing. Sure, that wasn't the best on it either. So hopefully he can have a long off season and get right for next year.
Another big injury that happened recently was LeBron James hurt his foot. There's not really been much official word on what it is or how long he's going to be out. People are just saying he's going to be out indefinitely, but probably at least a couple of weeks. And that's a big blow. Say what you will about LeBron James. Michael Jordan's a GOAT guy, but LeBron James is still 2. If he's not 1, he's 2.
Absolutely.
And the Lakers club has been struggling this year, definitely not where they wanted to be, but they had a big trade deadline, made a lot of moves, and here we are a couple weeks later. LeBron gets hurt. Anthony Davis just can't stay healthy. Unfortunately, that's how he's been. And if those two are going to continue to be injured, it's going to be a long end of the season for the Lakers.
Yeah, because the Lakers don't have but outside of LeBron James and Anthony Davis, they don't have a lot of talent. They're not the most talented team. I mean, they've got solid role players. Like I'm a big Austin Reeves fan, like Austin Reeves, and you also have like Lonnie Walker and the Troy Browns, but those guys aren't. I mean, you can't really depend on those guys to fill the void that LeBron James obviously has on a basketball court, and it's going to be tough. I don't really think that Lakers team does anything spectacular this year, regardless if LeBron is on the court or not. I don't think that they have that depth that you were just talking about. After the All-Star break, it really comes into play how important depth is, and I don't think that the Lakers have the depth. I don't think they have the talent to be really anything special in the West.
Yeah, and I think we're getting towards the end of LeBron James' career. How many years has it been? It doesn't matter. He doesn't have to have depth. You got LeBron James on your team. You're making the playoffs, and right now.
But now, the past couple of years, it's really shown. Like, okay, which, and let's bring up 2018 because it was just LeBron, and I could have been out there on the court, and I'm still making the NBA Finals at that point with LeBron James. So, but the East at that point was very. Like the top of their team was those Isaiah Thomas Celtics and that John Wall Wizards team. Those were two good teams, but I mean, at that point, that was one of the best LeBrons we'd ever seen. Now he's playing against the West. I mean, the West is stacked from top to bottom, except for the Rockets, of course, because they're bad. But
yeah, they like to see how many points they can get.
Yeah, they're just not that great. They're just not that good of a team. But the West from top to bottom is just stacked. I mean, even the Phoenix Suns. I mean, they're only like 5-6 games above 500, and I mean that's a team you have to watch out for now because they just traded for Kevin Durant. So
he's suiting up tonight.
He is. I'm excited to see what he'll do.
Me too.
Because Mikal Bridges in Brooklyn has played out of his mind since him and Cam Johnson have both played outstanding since they went.
Cam Thomas.
No, Cam Johnson.
No,
too.
Cam Thomas has been playing.
Hey, Cam Thomas is a dog too.
He is a dog.
Except last night.
Did not play very well last night with the whopping 2 points.
I mean, you play against the Bucks team though. I mean, that's 15 straight.
Well, yeah, I was going to transition into that. Austin, a Bucks fan, you can see the smile on his face. And as we talked to transition a little bit, with no LeBron, they don't have enough depth. I mean, the Bucks are so good. Even obviously, Giannis is the key to a championship kind of team, but they're going to win a lot of games even if they didn't have Giannis. That's just a really sound team.
Yeah, and I mean, when Giannis isn't out there on the court, it's really just, I mean, Drew Holiday really had, those are his big games, and it's not inefficient games. He's very efficient. He's efficient from three. And then Chris Middleton, still coming off the bench. He's still on a minute restriction. But you have Chris Middleton and Bobby Portis coming off the bench.
I love Bobby Portis.
I mean, those are two I mean, when Chris Middleton is Chris Middleton and fully healthy, one of the most efficient basketball players in the sport. Bobby Portis at the center position. I mean, from three, just last season he shot 42% from three. So those are two guys that at will, I mean, at times, at will, they can score whenever they feel like. And then you also add Jay Crowder, who very underrated defender. I mean, he
went for 5 second-round picks. I don't know if he's underrated.
Yeah, 5 second-round picks. I mean,
see that alley-oop he threw Giannis? That was cool.
I mean, Jay Crowder has a role on any NBA team.
Right.
Like,
always.
I mean, wherever he is at, he has a role. He has a specific role. He doesn't overachieve it very often. But then you also have guys like Joe Ingles getting healthy, Pat Connaughton getting healthy. I mean, Grayson Allen, he's out there. I mean,
he plays.
Hey, he shoots well from three. He just can't play defense.
And his free throw percentage is actually insane.
Yeah, very good. He's a very good shooter. He's just not good defensively. And then
when your team's doing that, performing that well without arguably the greatest player in the game right now.
Yeah, I mean,
if not the greatest,
then,
without him, and then you just add him, it's just like wow.
You add Giannis back into things after they had played a week without Giannis, and then which they're down 15 yesterday to the Nets, and then they just end up winning by 15 because it's give the ball to Giannis. I mean, when you're down 15, you just get the ball to Giannis and let him work.
To touch back on the Grayson Allen thing, I think that really speaks to what we're talking about as a whole with the Bucks is they've got so many guys that just play their role.
Yeah.
Grayson Allen doesn't have to be a good defender.
Nope.
He shoots. Jay Crowder doesn't have to do anything on offense.
Nope.
He just plays defense. They've got so many guys that just play their roles and play them exactly how they're supposed to. Just an extremely well-built team.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really Jay Crowder's role is kind of like P.J. Tucker's and on that championship run. I mean, they're going to throw Jay Crowder. They're going to throw Jay Crowder on the best player, best wing player on the other team, and he is not going to take a single shot. And that's the role that he's been given, and I think he's okay with that. I mean, he's wanted to be in Milwaukee all season, and then finally gets traded, and I mean,
yeah,
you gotta love to be a Buck right now.
I'm sure he's okay being a Buck.
I mean,
not a whole lot to complain about over there in Milwaukee.
I mean, 15 straight, and I don't think they're gonna slow down really. I mean, they just got too much. They have too much depth. That's just what it is. Well, even Brook Lopez. Brook Lopez is a dog too.
Yeah, very underrated. Always has been. We've talked about each of your favorite two teams. I want to talk about mine maybe a little bit. Although,
yeah, you can.
Unfortunately, me and Tice don't have the benefit of having a favorite team on a 15-game winning streak.
No, we don't.
I'm a Pacers fan, but you got to be happy to be a Pacers fan right now. We're not winning a ton of games, but Tyrese Halliburton, Benedict Mathurin. That's all I need to say.
Yeah, no.
But also, look at the numbers. Miles Turner, I know like Most Improved Player of the Year award is supposed to be for young players in their second or third year. He's jumped from like 12 points a game to 18. Every offensive category he's had has jumped up. He's always been a great defender. He's the rim reaper, if you will.
Yeah.
And he's just, I mean, he had the 40-point game. I mean, it's been a real surprise. I wanted to trade him. I wanted him gone in the offseason because he just wasn't cutting it, and I thought we needed to trade him for his value. And he has been a pleasant surprise, got the contract extension. That's cool and all, as long as Tyrese gets one.
Yeah, no, I mean, Tyrese is one of the most underrated players in basketball, and he doesn't get talked about because he is a Pacer, and the Pacers really aren't that good. So the thing with Miles Turner, though, is, I mean, he's just offensively inconsistent.
Extremely. Nobody knows that more than a Pacers fan.
That has always been the problem with Miles Turner, though, is he's always been offensively inconsistent. Now, defensively, he's always been up there, top 5 in blocks. I mean, he's always been up there for Defensive Player of the Year talks, you know, but he's just inconsistent offensively. I mean, he'll go off for 40 one night, next game he'll have 11. And but that's what you're signing up for, and they gave him an extension, just not a long-term deal, but a 2-year, $60 million.
He's only like 26 or something. I think he's, off the top of my head, I would have to think he's the longest tenured Pacer we have right now. He's kind of a glue piece. I mean, he's young. He's been there since we drafted him, so I don't mind having him stick around. one thing I heard you mention there, Tyrese Halliburton, underrated because he's on the Pacers, who are not good. Let's talk about a guy that's been talked about like that his entire career, Damian Lillard. He's on the Trailblazers, but my God, is he amazing. And he had that 71-point game.
I mean, yeah, you can't take anything away from Dame and what he's doing and what he has done in Portland. I mean, his numbers are insane. I mean, he's just an all-around insane basketball player, and he's up there right now and probably top 5. We ranked a little bit, and we were putting him in like the top 5 in the NBA right now. You could put him in there. There's definitely an argument, always an argument, but I mean that 40 points in the first half. I mean, oh my goodness.
And
he's just it's hard to explain just with what he does and how he does it.
And with Dame, and I think he's the second. He's top 3-point guard in the entire NBA. I mean, you obviously have Curry, and you obviously have Luka. Those are guaranteed 1 and 2. I mean, you can rank them however you want. There's an argument to be made. Luka's better than Curry right now, but then it's when Steph Curry's on the court, he's a top 5 player in basketball. So, and then Dame just doesn't produce wins. Yeah. That's always been the problem.
It's in Portland.
And it is.
He had C.J. McCollum, but he was so inconsistent too. He'd either drop 40 or.
And he's never. Once again, you have C.J. McCollum beside you at your 2 guard. He's a 6'2" shooting guard. He's 6'2", 6'3" shooting guard. I mean, he's not a good defender. So there was obviously the liability when it came to that when you're playing against a guy. I mean, when you're playing against stellar teams like the Golden State Warriors, because you're not going to be able. I mean, Dame's not guarding Steph because Dame is an inconsistent defender, and C.J. McCollum is just not a good defender. So it's kind of the same thing that's happening again. It's like they get pieces, they get Jeremy Grant, you re-sign Josh Hart in the offseason, and you're like, oh, this team could actually be pretty solid. And they started off solid, and then you trade Josh Hart. You get Cam Reddish back. I like the Cam Reddish addition, but it's the same thing. They're not. If you think Jeremy Grant could be a second best player on a championship team, that's a tough argument to make.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think there is an argument to be made there.
And that's what's sad about Dame. I mean, he just never had that team built around him, that perfect team.
Mm-hmm. But see, that's why, and call me an old head, but that's why I respect him so much. We're
loyal to
look at
Portland.
Kyrie Irving. Like, he's okay. I want to go to this team now. All right, I want to go to this team now. And that's how the NBA is built now. You can go wherever you want. Yeah. And Dame has stayed. He's not requested to trade as many times as people try to make rumors about it. He's always like, no, I'm still here.
Yeah.
And one could argue if anybody deserved to go to another team, it's Damian Lillard. Yeah. But I just like that loyalty and staying with him and trying. But it's tough to watch sometimes him just be so good and get no help.
Right. Like last night, he had 15 in the first quarter. And then, I mean, he didn't even end up, 25?
Yeah, he didn't have 30.
He ended with 25. An inefficient night for Dame. But the Blazers were up 20 at one point, and they still end up losing. And I don't think that's because of Dame. No. I mean, I don't think you can really blame a whole lot of losses on Dame.
No.
You could blame a lot of the wins on Dame, because he has 71 points, because, he was during one stretch averaging like 44 points a game. I mean,
one of the most clutch players.
It's just tough. I mean, I sit there and I think, and we talk about like, why won't they build a team around Dame? Because we've seen how the Warriors built around Curry. We've seen how the Bucks have built around Giannis. And then it's just. Then there's Dame in Portland. Well, they just haven't done a good job.
It's Portland.
Yeah, I mean, it's Portland.
It's tough, and there's a lot of, in every sport, there's markets like that where it's tough.
Not a whole lot of money over there in Portland.
A ton of money. It's not
even the Kings this year. I mean, you have De'Aaron Fox. You trade Tyrese Halliburton away. Everyone hated it. Yeah. I wasn't a fan of that. But then you get Sabonis in that deal. You sign guys like Malik Monk. You get
Malik's been
I mean,
balling.
you get Kevin Herter, who's a sniper, absolute sniper.
Except
you
for
draft
the three-point
Keegan.
contest.
You draft, yeah, except for the 3-point contest. Yeah, 8 in the first round. Are you kidding me? And then you have Keegan. You draft Keegan Murray. You draft him over Jaden Ivey, which was very hated, but that team is third in the West right now. They're 10 games to a 500. That team is good, and I mean, you see what they've been able to do in one off season.
Yeah, and a lot of it goes to, you even think about the Warriors, and a lot of people hate on the Warriors because they signed Kevin Durant after they won a championship. They won a championship with a team of guys that they were all like natural, like Curry, they drafted, Thompson, they drafted,
Right.
Draymond, they drafted, and then people want to hate on them for some reason. I never understood that. The thing with the Blazers, who have they drafted since Damian Lillard that's like been crazy good? Like I just can't remember. I can't remember.
I do like Shaden Sharp. I do like the draft pick of Shaden Sharp, and
He's a rookie.
Anthony Simmons, but it's like it's just CJ. It's literally just CJ McCollum.
And he's gone. And he was always, I don't know. It just, yeah. I think that has a lot to do with it. With the Kings, I mean, don't get me wrong. The Kings hit and miss or swung and missed on a lot of draft picks over the years, but they finally got a few right with Fox and Halliburton. Murray I think, fits that team really well. So I think when you're in a market like that with Portland, hitting on the draft is a key, and they just haven't really been doing it.
I've also never had a head coach that's really been able to mold the players that he's been given together. Like you look at Mike Brown in Sacramento, like Kevin Herter, Malik Monk, all those guys, Harrison Barnes, those guys are just role players. And then you have Sabonis and De'Aaron Fox, who both of them haven't really proved, like they're good players, but they haven't really proved anything in the playoffs or anything like that. De'Aaron Fox has never even made the playoffs. Everybody wanted him gone. And Mike Brown comes in and he's able to build a system to where your main playmaker is your center in Sabonis, and he's the playmaker.
I love Tyrese Halliburton, but I do miss Domantas Sabonis. He's so
But
good.
he just does so many good things offensively.
He is Nikola Jokic, but just not quite as good. But he does all the same things. He's a playmaking big
it's
man.
unbelievable.
He can shoot not as well. He can pass not as well as Jokic, but he is a crazy good asset to a team.
Yeah, no, and you see how important he is for Sacramento. I mean, they have maybe not a perfect team, but they have a pretty solid team built there.
And they're going to keep building. I mean, this is the first
Absolutely.
year they've been good, and possibly, since, back in
DeMarcus.
the early 2000s, really. But
they
DeMarcus Cousins, but he
yeah.
was always on his own.
Yeah, they really didn't win a whole lot.
That was like a Dame thing with him.
Right, yeah.
You think putting Rudy Gay,
Yeah,
old Rudy Gay beside DeMarcus Cousins?
Right.
I mean,
It worked in 2K.
it did. I mean, 2K17.
I don't even want to hear about
This
it.
guy
man.
doesn't want to
I
know
don't.
anything.
I don't want to hear about
But,
it.
with the Kings, I mean, I don't know. They're not going to win an NBA championship this year, I don't think. But the window is just opening for them.
Absolutely. And a lot of their guys are under contract as well. You have De'Aaron Fox under contract. You have Kevin Herter under contract. You have a lot of those guys that, Keegan Murray, I mean, he's a rookie. So he's obviously under contract. And Domantas Sabonis, I mean, you have most of your guys under contract. So now at that point, you're able to build at that point. I mean, you have your main guys secured. You just got to figure out the rest of your team. So excited to see what they do.
Well, as we inch closer and closer to the NBA playoffs, right now here with Wabash Valley College and the National Junior College Athletic Association, the playoffs, at least the region tournaments, are just around the corner. They start up just next week. We'll start here with the Wabash Valley College men's team in the Region 24 tournament, or the women's team. We can start with the women's team, actually, because they are they're going to win.
Yes.
They're going to win. They're going to go to Lubbock, Texas.
Yep.
But you get to look at the bracket here. John A. Logan and Lincoln Trail in a play-in game. The winner of that game will have the unfortunate duty of facing off against Wabash Valley College. And I know it seems like we're talking like homers here. That's just how good they are.
I mean, they
it's-
haven't lost a game since the first game of the season.
First game, yeah.
And they beat that team by double digits
Yeah.
the next time they played them.
But then further down the bracket, Ren Lake faces against Shawnee Community College, and Olney Central College versus Vincennes, and then it would be Kaskaskia versus Southwestern Illinois. And then as you get further into the bracket, I mean, Wabash Valley has beat all these teams by at least 30
Yep.
throughout the season each time. But, you know, there's at least something to the adage of playing a team 3 times in a season. So,
Right.
I mean, we can't take them for granted, but I think they're ready to book their tickets to Lubbock, Texas.
Yeah, no, I will take them for granted. Absolutely.
I'm gonna have to also take them for granted. I can't lie.
We all have watched Wabash play against almost every single one of those teams, and
they don't have a Shalana
I've
Wagner.
watched them beat Ren Lake by 70.
Yeah.
I've watched them beat Kaskaskia by 60.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm definitely taking them for granted. Okay, I'm taking them for granted, and I mean, I don't even understand how you can even make an argument for those other teams.
Okay, and so
just
then you can't, but here's the thing then. So they win the Region 24 tournament. They go on, and that will be hosted at Lakeland all next week. And then after that, you go to the national tournament at Lubbock. They've been there 6 times in a row. I believe this will be the 7th, assuming like we are that they will make it through. Well, even if they, and that's another thing, that's how good they are. Even if they somehow don't win this tournament, they're still going to Lubbock, Texas. Mm-hmm. They'll get an at-large bid even if they somehow don't win their region tournament. Yeah. But I'm sure that they will. But then the point is they've been there 6 times in a row, and they've never gone more than a couple of rounds. We face all this competition that we beat by 60 and 70. And then we face better competition. We'll have to see what they can do. Hopefully, they can build on that. They've got a lot more scorers. They're not just one player. It's not just Shalana Wagner.
Right.
They got a lot of
absolutely
people.
not. I mean, Shanty's Craig. I mean,
Just committed to Buffalo.
Yeah, I mean,
Brooklyn
she's going
Gray.
to Buffalo to play basketball.
Division I.
Yes.
Brooklyn
that-
Gray does a whole lot
Brooklyn
of things
Gray,
for him too.
And she just committed to St. Louis.
Yes, she did.
So it'll be fun to look forward to. Be a lot of fun games.
Absolutely.
Watching Wabash Valley College women's team win
It's always fun.
in the Region
Oh, yeah.
24 tournament,
It's
and then
always fun.
eventually on to Lubbock. And then with the men's team, their first game will be against Southwestern Illinois College down at Ren Lake on Monday. That's going to be a tough one. The men's team has been so much better in the second half of the season. They've been so good recently. They've beat Swick twice already this season. Both of them super close games. One was double overtime. It's hard to beat a team 3 times in a row
times.
those close.
Yeah.
Very, very hard.
So that will be an extremely fun game. It just will be. Both have been so far. That one will be fun. Hopefully they can move on. Even if they get past that, you got to go through John A. and Vincennes. We beat Vincennes on sophomore night, but John A. is the number 2 team in the country. So one of those 2 teams probably going to win, but we'll see what the Wabash Valley College men's team can do, and then the women's team, of course, we expect to make it all the way through. So that's just a little preview there of the Region 24 tournaments as we continue on to the end of basketball season all around and get towards baseball season, as we had a recap at the beginning of the baseball game earlier today. For Austin Harrelson and Tyus Gordon, I'm Zach Reynolds. Thanks for watching Sports Cube. We'll see you next time.
News Channel 15, winner of the Intercollegiate Broadcasting System Award for the nation's best community college TV station.
I was sitting on my front porch, and I could tell myself I wasn't feeling real good, and it kept getting a little bit worse all the time. When my oxygen level dropped so low that I ran out of breath completely, I knew I was in trouble. I had professional people there, and they were there at the right time at the right place. And if something like that ever happened again, I'd want the same crew there, because they saved my life. There's no doubt about it.
Come see the Tri-State's largest display of high-quality, affordable furniture and home decor at Timberlake Furniture. With a warehouse spanning more than 8 football fields in length, you'll find what you're looking for and can take it home with you the same day.